let's get into our power rankings. This week was interesting. There was a lot of losing, just like generally spread around. There weren't many teams that went on like I felt like a big win streak, which made it kind of hard to go off of that. So I looked inwards and I looked at my soul and I said, who do I actually believe are the good teams? And I came up with what I came up with. So who started it last week? Was it me or you?
Pretty sure I did, so it's going to be you.
All right, I'll start it off this week. So I just want to throw a quick honorable mention to the Miami Heat. They did not make my top 10 this week. 0-3 this past week, even without Tyler Hero. You can't fault them too much for that, but it was really between them and this team I have at 10, and just overall, I do believe a little bit more in the top end talent of the team that I have at number 10. And at number 10, I have the Toronto Raptors. I came very close to dropping them out of my top 10. I had them at 9 last week, where they dropped 3 spots previously. This week, they dropped to 10, which is 1 spot. The Toronto Raptors have struggled as of recently, and their offense has not looked very good. But this also comes along with a cold shooting streak from Brandon Ingram and no RJ Barrett. I feel like this team has 4 legit guys. When you look at their 4 guys, RJ Barrett, Emmanuel Quickley, Scotty Barnes, Brandon Ingram, who can all get you 20 points. Quickley probably the least so of those guys, but even he, I feel like, is easily like you could, write him down for 16 points a night. Jakob Poeltl is, not your prototypical modern big. In fact, he's the exact opposite because he cannot stretch the floor at all. But in terms of what the Raptors ask him to do, he's a good defensive big, he's a good rebounder, and he can finish well around the rim. I think that the Raptors are going through a cold stretch that is not indicative of what their season is going to look like. I do believe that they will look better moving forward, and I do believe in Brandon Ingram, Scotty Barnes, and RJ Barrett. At number 9, I have the Minnesota Timberwolves. This is a team that I really don't know how to feel about a lot of the time, honestly. I didn't have them ranked last week, and it really comes down to their roster isn't constructed well. They don't have a true point guard. They don't have a great bench, in spite of the fact that they have Dante DiVincenzo and Naz Reid. So all of that works against them, but goddamn is Anthony Edwards good. I said a few weeks ago, I feel like he needed to take a leap in his numbers and in his performance in order for the Timberwolves to be a competitive team this year in terms of like what they want to be competing in the West. He went from like 25 points per game to like 29 points per game in a couple weeks. And he's also shooting 50, 41, 83, which is insane, right? Anthony Edwards has taken another leap, and that to me, it indicates that the Timberwolves should take a leap. At number 8, I have the Boston Celtics. We just talked about them at length, but the Boston Celtics are a team that has looked extremely good. They're winners of their last 5. Jaylen Brown has looked how a lot of people thought he would, being the number 1 option. I think he's averaging 27, 28 points per game. Derek White has turned up recently. Neemias Queta has been a good center. Peyton Pritchard doing Peyton Pritchard things. And then obviously you've got the younger players, the Jordan Walshes, the Hugo Gonzalez's that look like a promising future. And Anthony Simons has been doing his thing off the bench. So I think that the Celtics look like a really competitive team in the East right now. They also recently beat the Raptors, and I believe they also beat the Knicks. So they look good. They look competitive. I think Jason Tatum coming back would be something that they should absolutely plan for, and they should plan for being a competitive team come April. At number 7, I have the San Antonio Spurs. The Spurs they went 2-1 this last week, I believe. Yeah, 2-1 this last week. They just look the exact same. I didn't move them at all. I have no changed opinion on them. I think Victor Wembanyama coming back will be extremely good. They went 3-1 this last week? Yeah, 3-1. They look good. They look solid. They're maintaining. They're treading water. There's not much I really have to say about them. The New York Knicks, I have at number 6. Now, the Knicks continue to move up in my rankings, and I believe will continue to do so, although it's going to be hard to break past some of these teams that are in the top 5, because that has been my top 5 for like the last 3-4 weeks. But the New York Knicks have looked good. Jalen Brunson, obviously playing like the superstar that he is, and yes, I do say superstar. Josh Hart has finally started to get some of his rhythm back and play like, Josh Hart, which is a 6th Man of the Year candidate. Karl Anthony Towns doing Karl Anthony Towns thing. And then I do want to shout out specifically Miles McBride and Jordan Clarkson. They have been scoring well off the bench, and that is the exact punch that the New York Knicks have been looking for probably years, honestly. Like really since constructing this Jalen Brunson-led Knicks team, like back in 21, 22, whatever year it was, they have looked a lot better off the bench this year than they have in previous years, and that is an extremely encouraging sign for me. At number 5, I have the Houston Rockets. I've dropped them 2 spots, and that is because even though I didn't punish them too much for losing to the Jazz last week, you can't lose to the Jazz and the Mavericks within a calendar week and still maintain your spot. I think they're still a good team, but I do have some concerns about their defense, which is not something that I thought I would say about the Rockets when we talked about like defense versus offense, but their defense without Steven Adams in the middle does look a little concerning. I think Alperen Şengün moves his feet very well, and I think he is a great defender at the 4, but I don't think he's a good rim protector, and I think Steven Adams is important in the games where they've missed him, have highlighted that. And I also think that this roster is still figuring out its identity, and it's kind of at the point where it's like, okay, you guys, we're 20 plus games into the season. We need to kind of know who's the number one. Is it just really by committee again? Because the whole point of bringing in Kevin Durant was to have not by committee, not scoring by committee. We were supposed to have a guy, like our one guy. But now it's kind of like sometimes it's Şengün, sometimes it's KD. Hey, sometimes it's Amen Thompson, but sometimes it's only Amen Thompson for one half. So I really do want to see someone become the number one guy consistently for that team. And I want to see, just more consistency in their style of play, if that makes sense. At number 4, I have the Los Angeles Lakers. I know I could have dropped them, for losing by 20 to the Celtics, but no Luka Doncic, no LeBron James. LeBron has obviously looked not like LeBron James, but still like a really good player. Luka Doncic has looked like an MVP candidate, and Austin Reeves has looked like a borderline All-NBA player. So I think that the Lakers are completely fine. DeAndre Ayton's also performing well. Gabe Vincent had a couple good games recently. Rui Hachimura is doing his thing. Genuinely, the Lakers just look like a very, very solid team. And that's why I have them at number 4. At number 3, I have the Denver Nuggets. I moved them up 2 spots, and that's because I have become more of a believer in this roster. I also believe once they get Aaron Gordon and Christian Brown back, they will be even better. And Nikola Jokic is playing like the best player on the planet. And shout out Jamal Murray, because I don't think we've given him his flowers yet this season, but he has been absolutely incredible as a hyper efficient second option. And he's also been pretty dang good on defense too. At number 2, I have the Detroit Pistons. Shouldn't be much of a surprise. They've continued to play well. Cade Cunningham has continued to look like an MVP candidate and an All-NBA guy. Jalen Duren is looking like an All-Star, and I feel like deservedly would be if he was voted to the All-Star team. Jaden Ivey, we're going to have to continue to see how he performs as he comes back from his injury. But overall, this team looks really good. They're meshing really well. The pieces like Duncan Robinson that they added in the offseason fit really well with this roster. And I am very excited to see this Pistons team continue to perform and show that they are the contenders that I believe they are. And at number 1, shockingly, surprisingly, to everyone's complete disbelief, it's the Oklahoma City Thunder. What do I even have to say anymore? They're 23-1. That's it. That's my entire point. They're 23-1.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. My power rankings. I'm not even going to give any honorable mentions. I don't care. If you didn't make this list, I honestly don't think that highly of you, because I don't think that highly of my number 10 slot, which is the Minnesota Timberwolves. What I will give the Timberwolves credit for is they know how to win games, because I think consistently when they're on the court, they're not that good of a team. But as long as they could just barely beat those tanking teams, I mean, a win is a win. So their record is amazing. It's really their big 3. I'd say that has been playing amazing. Anthony Edwards, Julius Randle, Jaden McDaniels. Those 3 have been amazing. And then Naz Reid, Gobert, those guys are iffy. Dante DiVincenzo should be a guy who's playing really well, but he's only shooting 41 from the field. And he chucks a lot of threes. I mean, it's going in 38% from 3, but like sometimes I watch it and I'm like, wow, he gets so many more chances than any other sharpshooter I've ever seen. He should be way better. I do wish they played Rob Dillingham more. I wish they believed in any of their young guys outside of Terrence Shannon Jr., but unfortunately they don't. At number 9, I had the Miami Heat dropping, but I still have them in this list because they have the best coach in the league and they have all the pieces. Tyler Hero came back, played amazing. Unfortunately, he didn't play the last 2 games, like Cam was saying, and they did lose. But I think overall, they have like probably the most, I'm not going to say like a top 3-4 team in the league in terms of being balanced, in terms of having a 1 through 10, who like all of them are really solid. Norman Powell is still having that all-star season. Bam Adebayo, Khalil Ware, they're building that chemistry. Sometimes Ware's off the bench, sometimes he's starting. I do like that they're trying both. They're testing things for the playoffs already, which I kind of like. But yeah, the Heat have been amazing. At number 8, last week they sucked, but overall for the season they've been amazing. At number 8, I also have the Boston Celtics joining the list. Peyton Pritchard, Jordan Walsh. You know what? Jaylen Brown's been amazing. I haven't had the Celtics on my list all year, so I will just go ahead and say it. Jaylen Brown's been playing like a guy who might make All NBA first team, All NBA second team. He's averaging 28 points per game on pretty good playmaking and pretty good defense. Jordan Walsh, though, has been that key factor that wasn't last year. Like, he was a guy who wasn't playing in the playoffs and was barely playing the regular season. No, he's been an elite defender with elite athleticism. I can't talk. And then he's been able to knock the three down a little bit this season. Shout out to him. And maybe the Celtics can be contenders if Tatum comes back and whatever, and they make a move at the deadline. But right now, I'm just going to appreciate what they're doing in the regular season because this is the hottest they've ever been. At number 7, I have the Spurs up 2 spots from last week's number 9 spot. They are kind of proving me wrong. I mean, 3-1 last week without Wemby. Stephon Castle finally is back. Dylan Harper has been back for about like a week, maybe 2, but he's just now finding his groove. He did have a game this week where he went 1 for 11 against the Cavaliers, which is brutal. But he did have like 20 points in a close win against, was it the Pelicans? I think it was the Pelicans last night. So he played great then. De'Aaron Fox has been proving that he can be that guy. And hopefully he's a Chris Middleton to Giannis. Hopefully he's a Jamal Murray to Jokic. He's a guy who, and I know Wemby should be a top 5 player in the world, but he's the guy who should be taking the clutch shots at the end of the fourth quarter. So far this season, he has been ridiculously clutched in the games he's played since he's been back from injury. And then shout out guys, Julian Champagne's been great. Harrison Barnes has been great. They're another just super complete team. At number 6, I have the Lakers. I dropped them 2 spots from last week, and it's just for the sole reason of, you know what? We're getting closer and closer. We're not close, but we're getting closer to playoff time. And part of me, when I'm doing these rankings, a little bit is thinking about how they'll perform in the playoffs. And I don't think they're on the same tier as the top 5 teams. But Austin Reeves has been amazing. LeBron finally had a good game. Good job, LeBron James. Greatest player of all time. One good game. Luka Doncic has missed a couple games due to the birth of his, I think, daughter. I think it was daughter. I don't think it was son. Daughter. But they're still a great team. Ayton's been amazing. Roy Hachimura hit a game winner. I don't know if that was before last pod or whatever. But yeah, the Lakers have been great. It's just they aren't that top 5 level. Like at number 5, the New York Knicks, they finally climbed back. I think at one point I had the Knicks at 2 when they probably shouldn't have been, and I dropped them all the way down off the list. I had them at number 2 and then all the way off the list. They have finally climbed back to the top 5. I mean, just a complete starting lineup. It depends on what they want to do. Do they want to start Josh Hart, or do they like starting like a Mitchell Robinson next to Karl-Anthony Towns? But overall, that top 6 is elite. Miles McBride off the bench has been amazing. Jordan Clarkson has been finding his groove, and hopefully he can be a guy who, I mean, Jordan Clarkson has been known as a 6th man. Can he just be a 7th man? If he can be that consistently, the Knicks can be contenders. And then, yeah, Jalen Brunson's been playing like a superstar. And Josh Hart finally found his 3-point shot back. Good for him. At number 4, I have the Detroit Pistons. I think they've still been great. I just think there's another team that climbed over them. But yeah, Cade's still doing his thing. Duran might be an all-star. They're slowly getting their pieces back. Asar Thompson's been playing some games. Everyone's becoming healthy. They've been a great team. At number 3, I have the Denver Nuggets. The fact that they've been able to find ways to win games. I understand that they have Jokic and they have Jamal Murray, but not having Christian Brown, not having Aaron Gordon, not having even like a Julian Strawther. These are, well, 2 of those pieces are bigger than the last one. But these are big pieces to be missing. Finally, Cameron Johnson has found his groove back. And yes, Jamal Murray, he's never made an all-star game. This could be the year that he is finally an all-star. And I would absolutely love to see it. And then Jokic has still been playing like debatably the best player in the world. I wouldn't agree, but he's close. At number 2, the Houston Rockets. I didn't have them moving. It seems like, at least in my opinion, you overreacted a little bit to the Rockets. Listen, my mentality is if you're going to lose games to the bad teams, because come playoff time, that won't matter that you're losing to these bad teams. Yes, they lost to the Mavericks and the Jazz, but I will say the Mavericks have been heating up. I am a little worried with how up and down Amen Thompson is scoring wise. There's some nights he's scoring 4 points in a game, and then some nights he's scoring 30. I'd kind of rather him be a consistent guy. And you want to see like a Reed Shepherd be less consistent. Sometimes drop 30, sometimes drop 4. I don't want to see that from Amen. I want to know night in and night out, Amen Thompson's giving you 15 points, 17, 19, somewhere in that range consistently. And unfortunately, he hasn't figured that out. And then, yeah, Kevin Durant just isn't getting as many shots as I would want him to personally. Sengun has been out with an injury a little bit in this last couple weeks. I wouldn't be worried about the Rockets. And I still, honestly, I might even have them as my second favorite in the whole league when it comes to playoff time. It's hard to say that when you should really pick an East team, but yeah. And then at number 1, yeah, I don't really want to say too much. I will say they were missing Lauri Markkanen and obviously Walker Kessler, but the OKC Thunder at number 1 without Shea, beat the Jazz by 40. They beat them within a couple minutes. Within a couple of minutes of the game. They had Will Hardy screaming, cursing them out on the bench because he was pissed that they were losing to a team without their MVP. But shout out Chet. Probably should be in. There's so many different guys who should be all-stars. I can't wait till we actually make our lists, make our fake little ballots, because I don't even know who I'm going to choose, because honestly, Chet should be an all-star this season. He's been playing amazing. J-Dub has just finally come back from injury, and he's not playing J-Dub level, even though he did have 25 points against the Utah Jazz, but he's still been good, and he's playmaking-wise, he's been great. And then just everyone on that team. I mean, like what's his name? Is it Brendan Carlson, or is that the Kings guy? No, that is on the Thunder. He's been doing his thing. I didn't even know who he was before this season. I had to ask you what his name was.
Yeah.
I still barely know who he is.
Shout out to University of Utah, man.
They have like Chris Youngblood or something.
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
They have they just have all these random guys, and honestly, it's a combination of culture and coaching.
Yeah.
Something that every single other NBA team should be striving for. You can't say it's because of Shea. I mean, obviously Shea really helps that team, obviously, but it is a combination of culture and coaching that really makes everyone work as a unit like they do.
Yeah. No, I definitely think the more we get into this, the more credit we need to give Mark Daigneault as probably the best head coach in the NBA.
It's just so debate, like, because Eric Spoelstra is obviously, he also gets the best out of his players,
Yeah.
but you can't deny Mark Daigneault. You can't.
No.
These 13th, 15th guys, that doesn't happen with the Heat.
No.
It's always like, oh, they find some undrafted dude and he becomes like a 10th man, and then the 10th man's dominating. No, the 13th, 14th man. Usman Jang has been actually great. Now, has he been playing a little bit of garbage time? Yeah, but he's been great as someone they drafted 12th in the draft. Man, give this man his flowers. I think undeniably a top 3 coach in the league. You want to say 2, you want to say him over, because honestly, in my opinion, it's between Spo, it's between Mazzulla, and it's between Daigneault.
Mm-hmm.
Unless I'm really missing someone, I don't think I am. As much as the Pistons have been great, I'm not going to give all that credit to make Bickerstaff a top 3 coach. I'm just not.
Yeah.
Redick, no. Mike Brown, no. Who's the Spurs replacement for Pop?
I feel bad that I don't know.
We probably should. Finch, definitely not. Yeah, I think I really think it's between those three coaches.
Mitch Johnson is the head coach of the San Antonio Spurs.
Okay. But yeah, it's between those 3, and it's a huge gap after that.